Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughan, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. Hi there, everyone. I have as my guest today, Donna Zerger. Now, Donna is a founder and life rewrite guide who supports women in their midlives and older to reclaim their confidence, rewrite their story, and step boldly into their most vibrant chapter. So welcome, Donna. I am so excited to have you as my guest today.
I'm so excited to be your guest today.
Yeah, and I am really looking forward to discovering just a little bit more about your journey as an entrepreneur, right? Because every entrepreneur's journey is a bit unique. That launch pad, that prompt, that serendipity, something that set us onto this crazy journey, right, as entrepreneurs. And what I've discovered is along that journey of business development is also opportunities, as I call it, for personal development and personal growth. In other words, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to get over this if I want to build my business. So let me ask you, have you experienced any of those kinds of opportunities, as I call it?
I'm in the middle of one right now. I,
They're
I
ongoing,
put,
no doubt.
yeah, I put together a worksheet for clients to go through to help them uncover their story. And I'm working through something with my therapist, and he says, "You need to go use your worksheet." Oh,
Some,
okay.
sometimes we do need to be our best client, right? I've experienced that too. When I'm writing sales copy or marketing copy, I'm like, come on, Wendy, you can do better. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. So yeah, absolutely. And the journey from passion, right? That moment of inspiration, knowing that we're meant to serve in a certain way and make a meaningful difference. That journey from passion to profits is not easy. But the thing that I feel is the same for each and every one of us is that vision of making a meaningful difference for others. And it's just, something deep within us. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey, Donna. So curiously, how long have you been empowering women? Did that start way back when you were a little girl, that you became like that go-to, oh, I'll go to Donna because she always knows, she always can help me. And if you could just share with us a little bit about your journey that leads you to this moment in your life.
I'd love to. I I don't really know how I was as a little girl. I probably was the type of person that people would come to when they wanted advice or information about something or the other thing or
Yeah,
the
my
thing or
guess
that.
is you're pretty intuitive,
Yes,
and so people sense that and they're just like magnetized because you have that ability to provide that perspective that sometimes we just can't see ourselves.
exactly. That's one of my superpowers. And it's funny that it is because I honed that skill in a very dysfunctional family. And being able to know the mood, what was going to be happening in the house, in the home, was very important to
Mm,
know how to show up yourself. And so I lived most of my life going into rooms, just kind of seeing what the vibe is, what the tone is, and then I knew who to be. I
mm.
didn't know who I was. I just knew who to be to fit into that energy.
Right.
And that's pretty much how I was. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and I didn't know what to do about it. So I just figured, some people are meant to suffer, and some people are just not going to have the joyful, happy life that other people have. And I thought I was one of those people that that's just the way it was going to be. And being that attitude, that that kind of, I don't know which came first, that attitude or the depression and then the attitude. But they go together very well.
Mm,
And several times in my life, I've gotten very depressed and considered suicide a few times.
mm,
And this last time, it was different. It it was different in that I started to get afraid of what I might do to myself. And it was in that space that I felt that something had to change. And I think I had two friends that stuck with me through that time because I'm really good at
thank goodness.
isolating.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's that support group, right? That
Have to
sometimes
have
we
that.
just have to surrender to, and they're there.
Yeah. And they had asked me many times if I was, do you want to get help? Do you want to talk to someone? And I was fine, it'll be all right, don't worry about it. And, it's the looks on their faces. It's just,
Hmm.
I never want to see that again because I can just see, they want to help you, but they don't know what to do. And it's just, I don't want to
Yeah.
cause that look on anyone's
Yeah.
face
So
again.
through that really dark time, sounds like in your life, somehow you got a shift in your perspective and regained this clarity around your purpose, or obviously you've figured out the answer, how you can bounce back, right?
Yeah, well, it was actually through journaling. I'd always been a journaler. I love to write. And I was journaling one day and I thought, it's really familiar. And I wrote a little more and thought about it some more and started getting out old journals and looking at them and reading through them and going, it is familiar. I've done this before. And I did it then. And I did it then. I'd done it over and over and over. Unknowingly. I was just like on my own Groundhog Day. Do you remember that movie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Groundhog Day. That's what I was living. But I had no idea, but I was able to see it. And I said, I don't know how and I don't know what, but something's got to change. I can't go through it again. I don't know if I'll come out next time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I decided that something had to change. I didn't know what. And I looked back at my life and the life that I had hated and wanted to get out of several times and said, I didn't go through all of that for nothing. I am not going to live my life in vain. I have to help other women avoid or get through that pain, that darkness, the hard times. Because when you're there, you feel there's no hope and you feel so alone. And I just want to take their hand and let them know I'm with them. There's somebody on their team,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get through it.
Yeah,
It's just
such
I can't
powerful.
bear the thought of someone else having to be in that place that I was
Mm-hmm.
for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes that perspective from somebody who has been in their shoes to really be that support, because somebody who provides advice that, is like cliches, it doesn't land, right? But
No,
with your story and your experiences, there are so many women out there who would open up, to that, to receive support. Otherwise, it's just like did. No, 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 I don't need any. No, 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 I'm fine. Because it is a sense of trust, and obviously, you are able to build that trust with women. And I know your specialty is working with women in their 40s and older. So, in looking at women that are feeling kind of stuck in their lives, or
Mhm.
that sense of emptiness, what would you say are some false beliefs that they have that are keeping them stuck?
I think the biggest one is they don't feel that they have anything to offer.
Mm,
They don't think that there's anything that they could say or share with someone that would anybody would want to listen to them. Who would want to listen to me? I just had a boring old life. Or it's too messy. I don't want to talk about it. Uh, just it is what it is, and they
mhm,
just don't see the value in their lived experience.
mhm.
That
Right,
I would say that's probably
right. Yeah,
biggest thing
I
that
could
holds
see
them
that.
up.
Just not really having the high level of self-worth and self-value, so feeling like they just aren't contributing or something like that. That's definitely a huge false belief, because you and I both know that that's absolutely the furthest thing from the truth. So what is it that you feel is the thing that finally has these women saying, wait, stop, pause, I need to do something here, instead of, like you said, instead of this pattern, this Groundhog Day pattern? What do you feel is that thing that has them wake up a little bit from that spiral down?
I think it's a new pair of glasses. I think it's the opportunity to see their story, to see their lived experience from a different angle, to see the golden threads that go through their life, of their lived experience they have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And once they start seeing that and start tying that together, then they can start seeing that, oh yeah, I have value. I have something
Right,
to say.
right.
And
So
then they get into, I have to say it. I have to share it.
so it's really a probably unique for each person, what that wake up call is. It could be like you shared that awful moment when contemplating end your life, and somebody else saying, you have so much to offer, and possibly that it's hard to say, I'm sure, for what happens within each woman. But
Mhm.
the point is, for those that do see the pattern like you do, like you did,
Mhm.
what can you tell us just a little bit about what their life is like after working with you, and embracing that there has got to be a different life for myself that I could create? I mean, can you share maybe a story of somebody you've worked with, or just give us just a little window into that transformation?
A lot of times, the women that don't think they have anything to offer, um, when they start to see that they're in charge of their life, because a lot of them think, well, I've just been living my life and things happen, and it's just life, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And when they start to see that they have choices, they have things to be curious about, things that they used to be afraid of trying, they become curious about and they want to know more. And you start unpacking what is true and what isn't true. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the voices, a lot of the tapes that we're listening to aren't true. And in my situation, I don't think any of them were true. And at first, that's a little unsettling, of course, to go, well, that nothing's true. What is true? But you begin to see that anything's possible. Anything is possible. And I would have never in a million years thought I would ever say that, ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so empowering. So empowering to go from despair to anything's possible.
And
That
the
is
cool thing
huge.
about it is, yeah, is they do it all themselves. I don't do that much. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I feel like I just do that. I just
Well,
guide
yeah, you
them.
support them to stop listening to the recording, the jibber jabber that's going on in their head, and okay, well, let's look for, evidence of that, or let's get real about this, or what makes you think that? Why do you? And just those reflective questions
Yeah.
allow the person to finally see, like you said, the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
that is just so, so powerful. Now, I'd love to hear your perspective about quote unquote old age. And I say that in air quotes because, well, to be perfectly honest, I always looked at someone in their 60s as being old. Well, I'm in my 60s now. I feel like I'm probably in my 40s. So it's all, relative. So we live in a society, though, that seems to think that slowing down is what's expected as we get into our 60s and beyond. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this.
I think that the exact opposite because I mean, growing in your 20s and 30s, you're kind of discovering who you are. And you're worried about so many things. You know, is my hair right? Are my clothes right? Does he like me? Does she like me? Just all of those things. And you get to be 50, 60, you're like, it's me. This is it. This is what you see is what you get. And it's
Right.
just so more freeing. And I have more energy now than I had when I was younger, I'm sure, because I don't have the weight that I was carrying around when I was younger. And it just, when I see, oh, I'm old, I'll just, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, no, 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 no. Come on. We're going, we're doing it. And, that's the time. Our time is now. That's the way I look at it.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Our time is now. And it doesn't matter what society is expecting. It's the moment of right now, and let's get going because this is what we've
Yeah,
got.
party.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you're obviously very passionate about the work that you're doing. And that is just what I love to see and hear, because what I've seen over and over during the past 8 some years of coaching thousands of coaches and energy workers is that frequently the frustrations and challenges of building a business plus the inconsistent results dampen that original passion. That's
Mm,
obviously not the case for you. And the thing that I love, because I'm a business success coach, which is the just the knowing that that type of struggle is not necessary with the right, strategy, the right support. Every coach can have that thriving, passion-driven business. So I'm just curious, Donna, because you're in a very, you work in a space where your clients are in a low state of energy and, energetic. I'm not talking about energy like go, 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 but just a dampened kind of spirit.
mm,
And for me, I'm an empath. So I pick up on the energy of my clients. And sometimes that's not good because, I can get like, roar, roar, roar. So I'm just curious, what is your secret to staying passionate about serving women at this important phase or transition in their life?
I learned very early on that if there was anything that I wanted to do, that I needed to stay in touch with why I was doing it. And as long as I stay in touch with why I'm doing this,
Hmm.
to I just can't bear the thought of another woman having to go through what I went through alone, and
Yeah.
that I want to be there for them. And that that's what keeps me up at night, is that
Hmm.
they're out there. I need to find them. I need to know where they are.
Yeah.
I need to be there for them.
Yeah.
And that that's how I do it, because I just can just feel it. I just can feel how that felt.
Mhm.
And to think of somebody else going through that is, it's no, that they don't
Right.
have to.
Right.
They don't have
Yeah,
to.
I can definitely sense that urgency in just wanting to uplift women. In fact, that helping others to achieve those new levels of peace and happiness and joy creates a huge ripple effect. It's truly infinite, in my opinion.
Oh,
It
definitely.
all ships rise, is the cliched saying,
Hmm.
but the ripple effect from when a woman is, instead of living in a cocoon and almost choosing to exit her life, versus all in and energized and wanting to be a part of and contribute and share vision and all that, truly is magnetic, and it does create that ripple effect. One of my mentors early in my entrepreneurial career was Mark Victor Hansen, the co-author
Mm.
for Chicken Soup for the Soul series. um, he wasn't my direct mentor, but I see him as a mentor because I was in a mastermind with he and Bob Proctor, which was amazing.
Wow.
Two
Yeah.
powerful visionaries, right? Talk about
Very
full
cool.
of life and vitality and visionary abundance, I should say. And one of the things that he helped me to really embrace to support me in refueling, the passion. He said, and I'm sure he told tens of thousands of others the same thing. He said, Wendy, you just need to get and these were his words, to really find that big, hairy, audacious goal for yourself, something that fuels your passion, and just it's a bigger vision for yourself and the difference that you're making, because that's what helps you to overcome all these little bitty speed bumps.
Hmm.
So for me, my BHAG, as Mark has called it, has evolved a little bit based on my different entrepreneurial pursuits. But currently, as a coach, what what fires me up is the most is my vision for raising consciousness within humanity. And
Mm.
I see that as happening because of people, women like you,
Mm.
supporting you to share your voice, to be that conduit and that safety net for others in whatever way I can, creates that ripple effect for other women waking up to, like, oh my gosh, I can create my life. I am not a victim to my life. I can create it. And boy, am I going to create something fun, you know,
Yeah.
in charge. And so that's what fuels my passion, is just seeing that overall, raising of consciousness,
Hmm.
because it truly is an infinite ripple effect. So I'm going to put
Yeah.
you on the spot, Donna. Do you have a BHAG, as Mark Victor Hansen would say, a big audacious goal for yourself, for your business? You've already shared a little bit, though. You gave me a little bit of a window because you already said you want every woman to feel that that new vitality, right? Share a little bit about what your vision is, if you would.
That that new vitality, but what I always come back to is hope, is to hold hope for them until they can hold it themselves.
Mm,
Because the hopelessness is it really keeps them down. It really keeps them down. If there's no hope, there's no hope. There's nothing. And I lived my life thinking there's no hope. This is just it. This is just what I got. These are the cards I was dealt. And no, no. So I want to be that, I guess, um, vessel that holds their hope until they can hold it themselves,
mm,
and just
on that.
be there for them and let them know that there is hope. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you got somebody in your corner.
Yeah, and every woman is a precious gift, right? I mean, that's what's
Yes.
kind of coming through based on what you're saying, is just that sense of self-worth and value. So yeah, I love that. I love that. So Donna, I hear that you have a special gift for our listeners. Would you like to share a little bit about what that is?
Well, let me tell you about that. Um, one of the frameworks in one of my programs is the life rewrite. And what that means is usually during a workshop, we'll do a life rewrite. And what that is a series of questions that we go through to help the woman see the story, how it might be different, how it might not be true, how it might be true. It's just a series of 5 questions spelled out on a PDF, and it's I guess what's the word I'm looking for? It's unobtrusive. I mean, you don't have to get all down and dirty and bare your soul. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, I can answer these questions. Like, okay, where am I? What happened? Why do I think my life has no meaning? What has happened that causes you to think that? And then it just goes on to, what have you had to do to get through that? And do you see that how that might help other people? And how do you think that you could get that message to other people? It starts to build that hope, promise of it can get better.
Yeah, so that is a gift that they can
So what?
download
Yes, a worksheet.
and complete that for themselves and provide that perspective that might be something probably is going to be something very revealing. I love the name, Life Rewrite, right? It's empowering right
Right?
there. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for offering that generous gift. So listeners, look in the show notes for the link to be able to grab your copy. So Donna, this has just been great. I have so enjoyed our conversation and just
Well, thank
learning more about your journey as an entrepreneur and this extremely important work that you're doing, and more so what truly is possible for women when they're in that state of just, hopelessness, and that
you.
there really are small steps with the guidance, with your intuition, with your, support that can shift their life into that ultimate, sense of I'm alive again. Like you said, the
Hmm.
best chapter yet. So thank you so much for the work that you do, Donna, and for
Hmm.
sharing your story and providing the insights that you have. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So, if you're a heart centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So, check out the show notes. All right. Well, this is Wendy Vaughan signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.